discussion about basic accounting. Okay? Now, let's have this discussion. Okay? About accounting cycle. Okay? Now, let's discuss journalizing, posting to the ledger, closing entries. Again, let's discuss journalizing, posting to the ledger, and closing entries. Now, let's have first journalizing by defining journalizing. Journalizing in accounting is a system by which all business transactions are recorded for your financial records. A business transaction is first recorded in a journal, also called a book of original entry. Okay? By the way, journalizing is a second step in accounting cycle. Your journal keeps a record of all your business transactions. Okay? Taking them in chronological order. Okay? As they happen. Okay? Journalizing provides a chronological order of transactions. Okay? When you say transaction, okay? Ito po yung first step, okay? Of accounting cycle. Identifying transactions and events happening in the business operation, okay? Of a company. Okay? Adding new journal entries is called journalizing. Okay? The process of journalizing starts whenever a business transaction occurs. Now, let's have classify elements of financial statement. Why we need to know the financial statement elements? Because elements of financial statement is affected, okay, the journalizing. Okay? What is the 5 elements of financial statement? Okay? How they affect the financial statement using journalizing. Okay? First, assets. Okay? The normal balance of assets is debit. Okay? Now, assets may decrease or increase. Okay? When you say debit balance, okay? Meaning increase. Okay? Increase. When you say credit balance, decrease. Okay? Or assets. If we debit asset, we increase the asset balance. Okay? And when you say credit, okay, decrease, you decrease the asset by crediting the asset. Okay? Next, liabilities. Okay? Liabilities have a normal balance of credit. Like asset, okay? Pwede po siyang i-debit or i-credit. Okay? Kapag po dinebit, dinidecrease mo ang liability mo. Okay? Kapag naman credit mo, ini-increase mo yung value ng liability. Okay? Equity. Okay? Equity have a normal balance of credit like liabilities. Okay? And these three, okay, elements of financial statement, okay, will shown in the financial statement. Okay? What type of financial statement? Balance sheet, okay, or statement of financial position. Okay? Now, let's proceed to equity. Equity have a credit balance, but the equity, okay, may increase or decrease by debiting or crediting. Okay? When you say increase, okay, you credit the additional investments. Okay? Or you credit to increase net income. Okay? Net income from the operation. Okay? After you close, you credit in net income. And when you say decrease equity, you debit the equity. Okay? Meaning, drawings is the example of decrease, okay, from equity. Okay? And then, i-close. Okay? Close. Okay? Kino-close po siya after, okay? After, after, okay, this accounting period. Okay? Next, revenues. Revenues have a credit balance, okay, or normal balance. Okay? But revenues, like the other three elements, maybe, okay, or maybe decrease or increase when you say debit. Okay? When you say debit, you decrease the revenue. Okay? When when you say credit, you increase the revenue. Okay? Kaya po may increase and decrease sa revenue kasi po galing po ang mga ito sa adjusting entries. Okay? Or sa mga adjustments. Okay? Now, the last one element, okay? The last element of financial statement, expenses, have a normal balance of debit. Okay? Debit, okay, increase the expenses. And then credit, decrease the expenses. Okay? Katulad po sa revenues, ang expenses po ay nag-i-increase at nagdi-decrease. Okay? Paano po? Galing po ang increase at decrease sa adjustments na ginawa mo. Okay? Now, let's summarize these 5 elements. Okay? As you can see, assets and expenses have a normal balance. Okay? But in decrease or decrease concept, okay, the only asset, okay, will be the real account. Okay? For purposes of journal entries. Okay? But in expenses, only debit. Okay? Only debit when you say journalizing. Okay? Kasi po, ang increase and decrease, again, okay, is nangyayari po yan kapag adjustments or adjusting entries. Okay? Now, let's have the 3. Okay? Credit, normal balance, the liabilities, equity, and revenues. Okay? Now, in these 3, okay, in these 3, credit, normal balance, the liability, okay, is affected by increase and decrease, okay, while equity and revenues will affect if the stated problem, okay, have an adjustment. Okay? Ngayon, okay? Assets and liabilities po ang normal na nag-i-increase at nagdi-decrease. Samantalang equity, revenues, and expenses, okay? Nag-i-increase at nagdi-decrease lang po siya kapag may adjustments. Okay? Ngayon, para madali mong maintindihan or matandaan ang elements of financial statements. Okay? Panoorin nyo po yung normal balance video ni Mr. Reynaldo Ocampo. Okay? Next, let's have the sample of journal entries. Okay? Mr. Ocampo start his business by investing his personal savings from the bank amounting to 350,000. Purchase on account of machinery for 20,000. Prepaid advertising was paid for 23,000, covering the 1-year term to advertise his products. Asset method is used. Okay, take note. Sa pag-adjust, take note. Asset method daw ang gagamitin sa deferred expense. Okay? Now, this type, okay, of statements is the transactions. Okay? Ito po yung first step. Okay? Yung identifying transaction and events. Okay? Now, sa pag-journalize po ng transactions and events, pinakamadaling paraan sa pag-journalize is hanapin nyo po yung pinaka-root word, okay, nung transaction. Ano po bang pinaka-nangyari? At ano po yung maaapektohang elements, okay, of financial statement. Ngayon po, dito sa unang bullet, okay, as you can see, investing, okay? Personal savings from the bank, okay? Meaning, the affected elements of financial statement, okay, is asset, okay, and equity. How they affect that elements, okay? Affected yung asset and equity by increasing them. Okay? Because the transaction states that investment. Okay? Investment. Okay po? Now, sa second bullet, okay? Purchase on account. Okay? Yun na po ang pinaka-root word mo po. Okay? On account. Meaning, you have to increase your liability. Okay? And then, you have to increase asset. Okay? What type of asset? Machinery. Okay? Now, third bullet. Okay? Deferred expenses. Example, transaction. Okay? Prepaid advertising was paid for 23,000. Okay? Covering the 1-year term to advertise his products. Asset method is used when adjustment occur. Okay? Now, ganito po mag-journalize ng example transaction. Ganyan po mag-journalize. Okay po? Ngayon po, dapat ang cash is naka-specific. Okay po? Kung saan nanggaling. Okay? Kung makikita nyo po sa first bullet, personal savings from the bank. Okay? So, pag nirecord nyo po yung investment, okay? Increase ka ng equity, okay? And then asset. Okay? Okay. Now, cash in bank. Okay? Meaning, your investment came from the bank. Okay? Savings. Okay? Then, you credit. Okay? Credit capital to increase. Okay? To record the investment. Okay? Next bullet. Okay? Purchase on account. Okay? Meaning, you increase your liability. So, you need to increase the liability by crediting. Okay? And then, your asset. Okay? Now, we have two assets here. Okay? In two discussion. Okay? How to journalize. The cash in bank and machinery. That was a assets account. Okay? And then the third account, asset, is the prepaid advertising because the method is specified in the transaction. Okay? Now, as you can see, cash is credited. Okay? Because the word paid, okay, was used. Okay? So, when the transaction say paid, okay, cash was involved. Okay? Now, let's proceed, okay, to posting to the ledger. Okay? Posting to the ledger, okay? Dito nyo po malalaman yung balance ng debit and credit nyo. Okay? Posting to the ledger have two different kinds of ledger. Okay? The first is the general ledger. Okay? Yun pong pagre-record, okay, ng general ledger is in general. Okay? Meaning, when you journalize, you have the column debit and credit. Okay? And then transaction. And then, okay, all the debits and the credits, okay, have recorded. Okay? And then, you sum up all the journal entries that you have. Okay? Or journal entries that you record. Okay? Now, let's define general ledger. General ledger represents the record-keeping system, okay, for a company's financial data with debit and credit account records validated by a trial balance. Okay? Ito po yung third step. Okay? Ito po yung third step in accounting cycle. Okay? Posting. Okay? To the ledger. Okay po? Now, another info or definition for general ledger, okay, provides a record of each financial transaction that takes place during the life of an operating company. Okay po? And then this is the second classification of ledger or types of ledger. Okay? Subsidiary ledger or mas kilala po sa tawag na trial account balance or T account. Okay? Ito po is yung himay-himay na accounts. Okay? A group of similar accounts whose combined balances equal the balance in the specific general ledger account. Okay? The general ledger account that summarizes a subsidiary ledger's account balances is called a control account or master account. Okay? So, yun po ang ibig sabihin ng general ledger at subsidiary ledger. Okay po? Now, punta po tayo sa sample of general ledger or samples of ledgers. Okay? First, we have the sample of general ledger. Ganito po ang itsura ng general ledger. Okay? Next. Sample of subsidiary ledger. Okay? Ganito po ang itsura ng subsidiary ledger. Okay? Per account or per company's customer account. Okay? Kasi po, ang example natin is accounts receivable. Okay? The last one, okay? Last discussion is closing entries. Okay. Pang ilang step po ang closing entries, sir? Closing entries, okay, is step 8 in the accounting cycle. Okay? Closing entries, okay, is after preparation of financial statements. Okay? Bakit po may closing entries? Kaya po may closing entries kasi you close the nominal accounts, all nominal accounts that you see in the income statement. Okay? And then proceed, okay, to income summary to get the net income. Okay po? And then you close the drawing account so that all real accounts must be presented. Okay? Now let's define closing entries. Closing entry is a journal entry that is made at the end of an accounting period to transfer balances from a temporary account to a permanent account. Again, when you say temporary and permanent, temporary means nominal, okay? And then permanent meaning real, okay? Again, the examples of temporary or nominal accounts are shown in the balance sheet. Joke. In income statement, okay? And then permanent accounts, okay, or real accounts will see in the balance sheet. Again, temporary accounts will see in income statement while the permanent accounts was see or shown in the balance sheet or statement of financial position. Okay? Next, companies use closing entries to reset the balances. Okay? Reset. So meaning, zero out yung temporary accounts. Okay? By doing so, the company moves these balances into permanent accounts on the balance sheet. Yun na nga po yung sinabi ko kanina. These permanent accounts show a company's long-standing financials. Okay? Kaya po tayo may financial statement, a statement of financial position, okay? And income statement. Sa income statement po malalaman ang performance, okay? Financial performance ng isang company, okay? And kaya po tayo may financial statements kasi po maraming interesado, okay? Marami pong gumagamit, okay, ng financial statements, okay? Bigyan ko po kayo ng 3 example ng gumagamit mostly ng financial statements. Okay? Financial statements users, okay? 3 po bibigay ko. Investors, lenders, okay? And employees, okay? Now, this is the example or sample of closing entries. Okay? To close the temporary accounts, okay, you need to first in revenue, recording the revenue in closing journal entry. Okay? You simply debit revenue and then credit income summary to close the revenue account. Okay? And then in this example, we have expense account. Okay? You simply debit income summary account and then credit total expenses. Okay? So, yun, once po na-close nyo na, okay, yung revenues and expenses, the difference, okay, will be entered into owner's equity. Okay? Kasi po, ang difference, okay, ng revenue and expenses is net income or net loss. Okay po? So, yung net income or net loss, ito po yung nag-i-increase or nagdi-decrease ng equity. Owner's equity po. Okay? So, after nyo pong makuha yung difference between revenue and expenses, you simply debit income summary and then credit owner's equity to record the net income or loss. Okay? Pag po net loss, you debit owner's equity and you credit income summary. Okay? To record net loss. Okay? Drawing account. Marami pong nalilito sa drawing account. Ang kala po ng iba, adjustments din po. Okay? Ang drawing account. Ang drawing account po is a contra account. Okay? Meaning, kino-close siya after, okay? Accounting, kino-close po siya. Okay? Kasama po siya sa closing entries. Okay? Ang entry po sa pag-close ng drawing account is debit owner's equity. Okay? And then, credit drawing account. Okay? Yun po ang apat na example ng closing entries. Okay? So, I hope that this discussion of journalizing, posting to the ledger, and closing entries helps you enhance your analyzing to journalize transaction, posting the journalized transaction, and close the necessary closing entries. Okay? So, dito na po nagtatapos ang aking discussion today. Thank you for listening. God bless.